We're back again. Really? You're gonna do that right when I start?
Yeah, but just do it again. I'm sorry. Wait a sec. Hang on. Let me get.
Oh my God, he's a disgusting pig.
Wait a minute. Let me get all.
God. Okay.
Wait, I want to go. Okay.
Action.
All right, we're back for another episode of the show. As always, we got Gunny Matheson, Joe Schmidt, and tonight our special guest is Kaci O'Rourke.
Special guest.
Special guest.
Very special.
So, Kaci, what have you been up to?
Well, been riding quite a bit. We just got back from the Florida Classic. That was a really good show, and we're going to Tulsa on Friday. And then we're home for a little bit before NRBC, so we've just been trying to catch up and ride everything that's been home, so yeah.
You're not going to try to qualify for the Run for the Million?
You know, I really would love to. I just think with my Derby horses this year, I think I need to save them for NRBC. I think I have to kind of choose one, and I'd love to make the finals at the NRBC, so
Cool.
maybe next year, hopefully.
Yeah, that's fair. It's getting hard because there's so many options now.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, the Cactus they do have a 4-year-old class, and it is close to NRBC. I just think, I mean, it's getting now, I don't think you can really go through and lope through and make a finals anymore, especially level 4, and I don't think you can't really even lope through and or have a nice pretty run and get a paycheck anymore either. So if you're going to go to Cactus, I mean, you don't want to go all that way and not get qualified, so you're going to have to run pretty hard, and then to turn around and take those same set to the NRBC, I think they either need to be really mature and really solid and a lot of horse, or you need to pick one or the other. So
Yeah, I don't disagree with that because it's coming. The NRBC is
Right around the corner.
right after that.
yeah, exactly.
So let's go back to Florida. I've never been. I didn't go this year. I know Cade went,
Yeah.
but what about the facility? I saw a drone shot over that facility. Looked pretty friggin' nice.
You know, I've never been before, but I was like impressed. I mean, the arena was really good to show, and the ground was actually really good. I mean, it was deep enough, but easy enough for horses to get through. The weather probably helped. It was sunny and warm the whole time, so riding outside was a nice change from it being cold here. And then, I mean, there was really not many. I mean, there's a lot of entries, so it ran late a couple nights, but I mean, there was really no conflicts. The barn was nice. It was really welcoming and fun area to go, so I'd definitely go back next year.
Yeah. Were you guys? I'm not familiar with where that's at. Was it close to the beach or any nice restaurants, good stuff to do?
Isn't it in Jacksonville?
Yeah. It was about an hour probably from the beach. We actually didn't make it to the beach. I really wanted to.
Damn.
That was my goal. I know.
Probably
But,
Jack's fault.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he didn't get done in time.
How many horses did you bring?
We took 5 to show, and we took 2. We took one 3-year-old and one 4-year-old just to ride. So I mean, it was pretty cruisy. It was for us. I mean, I usually like to take way more than we need to take, but you could drive. I mean, 20 minutes into the city, and we tend to find good food where we go. That's our goal. So no, it was nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, and so you're not going to the Cactus, but you're going to Tulsa.
Mhm. Yeah, we're just gonna go in school. I mean, it's kind of hard not to go there.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna go back there in a month, 6 weeks, so you got to take advantage of that. And I mean, I think a lot of people are, because I think it was hard to get all the paid warm-ups in. So we're gonna go do some paid warm-ups. There's an open class. We're gonna school everybody in and ride, and then probably come back on Wednesday or Thursday, so we can keep on the 2-year-olds and the 3-year-olds and everything like that. So
Yeah,
try
it's
to-
nice how those paid warm-up classes are like, I think it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And then you can send your horses home if you're not showing them.
Yeah.
Or the studs if they need to breed, like for us, a couple
Right.
of the studs that are breeding.
Yeah, I actually have 2 mares that I've got to kind of juggle. One's Stella, actually, the special nightmare. She's got to come up a day later because she's getting bred, and then one's got to come home 2 days earlier because she's getting flushed.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hectic with that too, trying to manage everything. I mean, they're very busy over there.
Yeah, it's that time of year for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know we're taking
59.
50 head, I think.
I saw the stall chart.
Yeah.
50?
Yeah, I think so.
That's
I think
crazy.
so. It's hard. It's hard not to go because it's
Yeah.
right before the NRBC, so it's great to go school.
Yep.
The dilemma again, just like you were talking, the dilemma again is even if you got a 4-year-old that you're not going to the Cactus with, if they're eligible for the 100X, do you really want to show them now and then the NRBC and then the 100X?
Yeah.
You know.
And we thought the same thing. You know, I think I'm planning on showing the horse I made the Futurity thing. You know, I would try to show him at the NRBC and possibly the Derby and then aim for the 100X. But then I have, you know, one other one that she's a little more immature and I don't really know that she needs to go show hard, you know, that many times. And for me, with the 100X being out there, for me, that's almost the big goal of the year for the 4-year-olds, even more so than the Derby and the NRBC is trying to make sure they're good for that. So, you know, that one I might save a little more and just try to season her and get her ready for that deal. So, or even, you know, like Cade and I were talking at Florida, it's not a bad idea to take them, you know, show them in Florida, show them in Tulsa or whatever, get a run on them and then save them, you know. So.
I think there's going to be a few people doing that. There's so much money. I mean, the 100X is our best paying.
Yeah.
Isn't it our best paying Derby now?
I think so. It's 150,000.
Yeah. For 4-year-olds only.
And you know, we even talked. One thing I wish they would do. We kind of talked about it on the. Some of the professionals have been talking about it. Is separating the Derby. You know, we have the 4-year-old stakes at the Derby, but making that be kind of a separate. You know, we're running into a problem. It's not really a problem. It's a great problem now, but where there's so many entries, and say you have even a Vegas or a Tulsa Futurity or whatever, and you have 120 entries, and it's really hard to separate that class in one go. So do you know, make it 2 goes? What do you do? And we talked about it at the Derby, even making it for 4-year-olds, and you know, a 4-year-old class, and then running the 5, 6, and 7-year-olds. And that's just always an interesting concept that I think is a neat one. You know.
I think so too. I think the problem with that is finding enough money.
Yeah, finding the sponsorship for it to make it worth it, and
because it pays the Derby pays so good for if you split it, you almost need double the money because if you have a good 4-year-old, you know, we've looked at the numbers with the NRBC, and 4-year-olds are not really at a disadvantage at those events. I mean,
how many years ago was it they tied to win it with 2 4-year-olds?
Yeah, the top end 4-year-olds, it's not. Now, I like it for as you get further down the line, but that elite set of 4-year-olds, they can, you know, they've proven they can run with anybody. And I think, if I remember the numbers right, out of 30 horses in the finals of the NRBC, 14 of them were 4-year-olds.
Yeah.
So it's.
It's kind of a catch-22.
Honestly, that's why at the NRBC we didn't make it a 4-year-old. We made it a novice horse thing.
Yeah.
So I think and I know Gunny, you've won a few checks in the novice horse part of the NRBC.
Well, I'm pretty novice, and I like riding horses that are novice, and like I excel at being novice. Yeah, I did actually win the novice division of the NRBC once. Paid like $8,000 or $12,000 to win the year that I won it, but. I mean, back to your point, Monica's mare, you guys know how much I love that mare. Well, she was kind of a feely, but I also thought she was special, kind of a 3-year-old. Well, I thought it'd be good for her just to show at a slower level as a 4-year-old. So I had Monica show her all year last year. Yeah. You know, and now she's 5. She feels more mature, stronger, like she could compete at that upper level. So
yeah, Monica did a great job with that mare, by the way.
Yeah. That was fun to watch. It was really fun to watch. She had so much fun on that. I mean, that was.
Yeah, and then I took her from her.
That's so mean.
Just took her back.
You can't do that.
Now, do you feel some pressure there?
No,
because Monica made her look. How much did Monica win on her last year?
Yeah, like 60,
45,000.
Yeah.
No, I feel no pressure.
I mean, because, people are going to be watching and saying, okay, that mare looked that good. I've already heard a little chatter. Have you heard the chatter, Joe?
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
It's going around.
Yeah.
Because how much had you won on her before the
30,000.
Oh,
Wow.
so half.
Yeah. A little less. Yeah.
Half is good.
Half is good.
I'll win the rest though. No, and I feel no pressure. There is nobody talking about Gunny Matheson. Okay, guarantee. Nobody even knows.
No, but that's going to be handy if you guys are at Tulsa, like you're saying, be able to school and then go right back to NRBC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be great. Now, how do you feel about it moving from Katy?
You know, I mean, I did like, I mean, the facility at Katy was cool. It was fun to go someplace different. I think, though, I mean, it's just growing so big. I mean, I do think the Tulsa facility will be able to help, I mean, hold those extra horses. And the nice thing about Tulsa is there's really not a bad spot to be as far as stalling. You know, you have so many arenas to go to, and I think it's closer for some people. Like
It's 8 hours closer for half the country.
Yeah, you get your people from the north and the northwest and the northeast, and it's
Or 10. I mean, what's
Yeah.
it take us to get there? It takes us 5 hours to get to Katy and 5 hours to get to Tulsa, basically.
yeah.
So-
So
Yeah, and then it's a lot. On the end of a 20-hour trip,
Oh,
10
yeah.
more hours is
Oh,
a
for
lot.
sure.
absolutely, I mean that facility's just been really, really good. I enjoy going there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how'd you, like, I knew you when you worked for Kaci. Was that the first place you went to work, or did you have?
Yeah. So I went to work for Kaci.
Deary.
Deary. Yep. Kaci Deary when I was 18. So kind of right when I kind of gave up my youth card and my non-pro card. That's where I went, and you know, he was great to work for, and I learned a lot. I was there for about 5 years, and then I went to work for Craig right after that. So.
How many
Schmersal.
times did Casey make you cry?
You know, not as many. Not
As you
many-
think? Not as many as you think.
Not as many as you'd think. You know, I am a little bit of a perfectionist, but you know,
How many compared to Craig?
That's the proper question to ask. I don't need to go into that a whole lot.
Go back. Okay, before that. So you showed as a youth kid.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm from Vermont, so you know that's not really the reigning central, but
Not the
Is that a
hotbed.
state?
No.
that's not really the hotbed
I thought it
for
was
it.
just
Vermont a
city.
state or a city?
I thought it was a big
It's
city.
basically Canada, so there you
Oh,
go.
it is.
I
Yeah.
think
Really?
yeah, I think they have good maple syrup there.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. So I mean, I grew up riding on our. You know, my family has a ranch at home, and
Do they call it a ranch in Vermont or
no,
a farm?
it's a ranch. It is the ranch.
Okay.
It's like
Oh, right.
when I was a little kid. You know, I loved ranch dressing on everything. Hidden Valley Ranch. I used to ask my dad, I'm like, is that Pond Hill Ranch dressing? And he'd say, yep, you can have some Pond Hill Ranch dressing. And I mean, that was it. So, I mean, as a kid, I mean, to me, it was, you know, everything. You know, so we have horses from, you know, we lease about 700 to 800 horses a year to resorts and children's camps and, you know, the mounted police from Boston.
How many did you say? 700 to 800?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that we lease out. So, and then, you know, we also,
Like for little riding camps and stuff.
That is
Yeah.
a ranch.
Holy
yeah, they
cow.
all ride.
Sounds like a liability to me.
That sounds like a pain
It
in the
is,
ass.
especially when you get, you know, it's mostly people who really don't know how to ride. So
Yeah,
it's
for
mostly
sure.
their like their first experience with a horse. We do trail rides. You know, I grew up having to give trail rides, pony rides.
Yeah, nice.
We have rodeos that we have there, and you know, the horses at Disney, they come from our place. So all kinds of horses. I mean, all kinds of breeds and kinds. And I got stuck riding all the ponies all the time. So, you know, I mean, I grew up with it very much so. And then when I was about like, I think it was 11, you know, I had like an all-around horse that my dad had got me, and she was really nice, but she'd buck me off a lot. And I kind of got like completely sick of it, and I was done. And I had a friend that boarded at our stable, and she had started reining, and I went to, I think it's like Region 6 or something, a quarter show in Northampton, Massachusetts, and I hopped on her reining horse, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And my mom, you know, she's like, you know, I think the all around, maybe the trail, you know, the Western rides, a little more your pace. You know, I wasn't a super aggressive rider, and I was like, no, this is it. And you know, my dad actually, he went to a sale, and he actually got a Martha's Mega Jack that Scott McCutcheon had trained, a big gray gelding, and he got that one, and he got a bay mare. I don't even remember what she was, and he brought them both home. And they pulled me out of school one day, and I came over to our one of our farms, pulled him out of the stall, take him out to the pasture. It's like rocks, you know, and I'm just getting on, I'm like spinning, and my dad's spinning, and he's like, which one do you like? And I was like, I love gray horses, so I was like, that's the one, you know, the gray one. And I went to my first my first show, had never taken a lesson. I'd only rode at home like this horse. I took him into a class, and I was the only one in the class. I entered 2 classes, and I was the only one in both. And I walk in. I don't even remember the first part of the pattern. I just remember I'd never done a sliding stop before, and this horse clearly had. And I come around the corner, and he takes off, and I pull, and I go off the side, and I'm hanging onto the horn, and I like pull myself back up, and I was little, and this horse was big. And the judge is like, her face is like, oh my God, and she comes running over to me, grabs my hat, and she's like, are you okay? And I was like, yep, I'm okay. And she's like, well, you can take a minute, and then if you want to just walk around and start your next pattern, you can do that. And I was like, okay. So I did, and then I won. You know, I was the only one in the class. So, you know, that was my...
You completed the pattern.
I completed the pattern. And didn't fall
That's
off.
not easy to do when you first start, though. Reining is hard.
No, it was, I had no idea. You know, I'd never done it, you know, so...
Especially when you buy your first reining horses out of a horse sale.
Oh, yeah.
From Scotty tree.
From Scott McCutcheon.
Yeah, exactly. No, he was, and, you know, so anyway, so then that was it. So my mom, you know, clearly said, okay, we clearly need some guidance here. Like, this is just, you know, we need some help. And I went to my 12th birthday, I went to a Sean Flaherty clinic, actually in Vermont. He was in Vermont of all places. And we drove up there, and I remember some of it, and at the end of it, you know, he said, well, he was super nice, and he said, you know, I'm gonna give you my DVD set for your birthday. And I watched those, you know, 100 times, and that was super nice of him. And, you know, anyway, a couple years later, I was at the Congress, and I was showing a horse called Northern Enterprise that he had showed. And
I remember that one.
Yeah.
Gordyville's Derby
Yep.
years.
And by the time I had him, he was a little toasty. And
He was toasty when Sean had little.
So I'm at the Congress, and I had him, and I saw walking around my dad in the Celeste, and Sean was sitting up in the stands, and you know, he was probably just trying to get away from everybody, trying to, you know, just be by himself. And I'm like, you know, Dad, that's Sean Flaherty. And he's like, go talk to him. And I was like, no. So I walk away, and I'm like, you know, my dad comes and finds me. He's like, someone wants to talk to you. And I walk in the Celeste, and I was like, oh my God. And we walk up, and I sat next to him, and he was very good to me. I mean, he talked with me, and he's like, so, you know, you think you want to train horses? And I was like, uh-huh. And he's like, okay. And, you know, he gave me some advice, and, you know, I try to remember that and think about that, because a lot of times we get busy, and I'm sure the last thing he wanted to do was talk to some little kid, you know, about a horse that he probably didn't like, you know, whatever.
But you know what? I've spent a lot of time around Sean. You know, we've been on a lot of teams together and stuff, and spent a lot of time around him. He's never been anything but gracious, and he's very good about talking to people. I've never ever seen him be anything but 100% accommodating to anybody.
Know, that's what our sport really needs, like ambassadors like that, because you don't know at the time what kind of impact that has on a young person. That, you know, he didn't know me, you know, he probably didn't remember that, but, you know, to me, you know, I always remember that. And I think we as professionals, you never know who's looking up to you, and you never know who you're gonna inspire, and you never know who's watching you. You know, when you're riding at a horse show, or when you're walking around and maybe you've had a bad day, and we're all guilty of it, you know, especially you come out of the pen and you think you just had a terrible run. Well,
nope, never had a bad day.
Well, I wish I was in that spot, but you never know who's sitting there watching you, and who, you know, wants to be like you someday. So, you know, I try to remember, but I'm very thankful to him for that, and I've always remembered that. But
I saw a little kid once come out and have a bad run. He threw his hat in his chaps, kicked the dirt, and that kid wanted to be just like me.
That's right.
Yeah, he saw me.
He learned it from you and Dell.
Yeah, right.
Dell was a shap chunker.
Yeah, he sure was.
Yeah.
Yeah, you used to kick the stall for a few minutes, and then come out and, I'm done.
Yep.
I was never a stall kicker, but my vet box always was vulnerable. And you know what? They're not as hard as stalls. You can put your foot right through them and feel like you accomplished something.
Break a bunch of stuff.
Break the shit out of them.
Yeah, because they're plastic.
Yeah, just shatter them.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like, somebody needs to clean that up. But I'm good now.
That cost me $180.
It was worth it.
My wife would always have, in the finals of the Futurity or the Derby or wherever, NRBC, my wife would always have, one of my buddies would be waiting with one of these red cups right here,
Yep.
full of my favorite beverage.
That's very smart. I'm starting to learn my wifely duties a little bit about how I need to handle those things. I'm learning slowly. So yeah.
Like when he comes out and he did a bad job, you don't say how bad of a job he did.
You know,
just say,
I still do a bit, but I'm a little better. I'm getting better about like waiting we have a 5-minute rule, you know.
Read the room. Be good about reading the room.
And I'm like, you did good, you know. I try to
she looked cute in there.
Yeah, you know, I try to do that, and I try to give a 5-minute rule. I try to wait till we're off, you know, but no.
Well, I can tell you, I know you get along good with Mandy, and if you'll just pay attention to Mandy, you'll learn exactly what not to do.
Yeah.
Don't do what Mandy does.
I tend to be pretty stubborn, so.
What do we call Mandy?
Dream crusher.
Yep.
Dream crusher. Mandy is the dream crusher in our little circle. All of us, not just me. There's nobody immune. She'll get Joe, she'll get Gunny.
I mean, it's not even about riding horses. It's like if you're eating dinner and you order something at dinner, she'll look at you.
Yeah.
Really?
Really? You gonna order that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you want that extra cookie?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Eat that cookie. Looks good. You look good. Go ahead and eat that cookie. Yeah, oh yeah.
So did you have brothers and sisters that helped with the 700 horses?
No, I have 3 cousins though. So.
Remember, I'm home now.
Oh, that's right. Oh, sure.
No.
She's back from
We're
Florida
talking
with a
about
full
someone
tan.
different.
A different Mandy.
I can hear you.
Different Mandy. Different Mandy. Yeah. Amanda, we were talking about.
Yeah, no, we have I have a stepbrother, but he's he does his own. He's not into horses really. He's on my mom's side, but I have 3 cousins, and then my dad has a brother and 3 sisters, and it's kind of a family thing, you know. I mean, we don't have many people that we kind of hire, so.
Yeah.
So that many horses. So you lease them out to different riding stables, all like dude ranch type things all over the country?
Yeah, so I mean, there's resorts that lease them for, you know, trail rides or whatever. There's kids camps, you know, people come up from the city, kids go to a 6-week camp or whatever, and they want to ride, you know. That's probably the main thing. So those horses, they don't have to be very broke, but they've got to be just safe and quiet.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, and sound. And my dad, I mean, I admire the heck out of him because, you know, we think it's hard sometimes selling a, you know, $100,000 horse. I mean, try selling a $5,000 horse to somebody.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's amazing the expectations they have. You know, we have a horse that you're like, yeah, he's sound, you know. You think, you know, you shoe him properly, you do the right things, he's sound. You know, for them, they want a horse that's sound if he's not touched for 4 months out in the pasture and comes in and they're gonna ride him up down the gravel road. You know, he better be sound. So
Yeah.
you know,
And safe.
and safe and not buck.
Yeah.
And when they say not buck, they mean like sit in the stall for 2 weeks, come out and not buck, not, you know. I'm like, man, most of mine would leave you in the dirt. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a client, good friends, you know, nice people, and they don't ride a lot, and they want a couple of trail horses just to go up and down
yeah.
you know, the, whatever they call it, the Green Belt, you know, in public land, and they said, hey, we want a couple of them, and we're willing to spend $5,000 a piece.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Not
I'm not
anymore.
getting involved with that.
Good luck.
Well, yeah. One, you can afford to spend whatever they cost to save your life. That's always amazes me is that they're not, you know, they'll spend $100,000+ on a safe car, but then want to buy a $5,000 horse that's going to get them both killed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
or buy
know?
a $5,000 horse for their kid,
Yeah, right.
you know.
Buy a $5,000 horse and spend $2,000 on a pre-purchase, and you know, I mean, but you know, they do a great job of catering to all kinds of people.
Yeah,
so.
that's got to be tough.
It is. I mean, you know.
Especially now. I mean, I can't even now. Reset mares are bringing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
big money.
No, I've been calling him. I've been trying to get him in the reset business. I'm like, Dad, I'm like, you have no idea. I'm like, you don't have to feed them most of the time. You don't have to do their feed. They don't have to ride. I'm like, I mean, we got quoted like $5,000 for some resets this year, and I was like, so I've been telling him, you know, I mean, if he has any mares that don't work, I was like, just
Send them down.
send them to us. We'll use them. So, yeah, there's a market for them. Absolutely.
So how foul are some of the horses that run through that deal?
You know, some of them, I have a really big appreciation for a lot of those horses. I mean, I think you know, it's a totally different deal than what we do. I mean, you're riding a horse for the function of riding it a lot of times. And I really appreciate like a good ranch horse or just something that's just gonna come out, do his job, take care of you, like no BS. And, you know, I mean, those horses, a lot of them are saints. And I really like, we have some like half drafts. Those are like really cool. And, you know, there's some that are, you know, I've been run down the road with once or twice, you know. I think everyone has on something, you know, especially the ponies.
Oh yeah.
They can be really rotten. But, you know, on the whole, they're, I mean, yeah. And it's honestly, when you get on like just a good horse that you're like, I mean, we've had some horses that are just saints. I mean, just like, they'll stand. I mean, I had a pony when I was a kid that was like, I mean, I'd just go to the house when I was ready for a snack. I'd hop off him, just leave him there, go and eat my SpaghettiOs, and come back out, and he'd just be sitting there like waiting for me, and I'd get on and go put ribbons all in his hair because I was doing freestyle reining patterns and stuff, and, you know.
Yeah,
those
you
are
can't
cool.
you can't beat a good pony. We had a quarter of a mile long driveway at our place, and my dad would go down to feed in the morning, and he'd saddle Little Joe as a pony. He'd saddle him timed to the tree, and I could see the bus when it was down coming around the last corner, and I'd run out and get on that pony and run him all the way down to the end of my driveway, get off and just slap him on the butt, and he'd run back up to the barn, and my dad would have the stall ready with feed and hay in it, and he'd go right to that stall.
Yeah. No, I think it's good to have an appreciation though. Like, just because a horse isn't a $100,000 reining horse or whatever, doesn't mean it's not a good horse. I mean, you kind of see the appreciation in all different kinds of horses. So I think it's a good thing too. I like honest horses. I mean, I like one that's just going to come out, do its job. I don't really, if it's not that talented, you know what, it's okay. It can still be enjoyable.
Yeah, well, there's a home anywhere for an honest horse, no matter what level. You know, you might have to drop down from what we want to do, but there's always a home for an honest horse now.
Those are, they're pretty valuable.
Yeah, so I remember you coming to the Congress and showing, and this wasn't that long ago, but it's the first time actually I saw you around, but it's the first time I saw you play at that level. Yeah. With Jolene, is that her name?
Josie, Genuinely Joe.
Genuinely Joe.
Yep.
Where did I get that name?
That's another little Joe.
No, okay.
That's another one.
Yeah, okay. So I saw you come to the Congress and you were like maybe second in the go around.
Yep.
And I tried to buy that horse from you and you wouldn't sell it to me.
Yep.
And I did. And 1,400 other people.
I'm not talking about anybody else right now.
Well, I'm just telling you that I called her first, and then you were next in line. There was 400 other people in line. And there was probably people in line, 2 months before that we don't know about.
Yeah. So where did that mare fit into? Were you still working for somebody then?
Yeah. So not at that time. So I had always kind of had my own horse. Like when I was working for Kaci, I had my last youth horse. We brought him out to Texas. We sold him, and my dad said, okay, you can use that money, go buy, a project horse, whatever. So the first one I bought pretty cheap. Sold her for a bit and, bought another one. And for me as an assistant, and I think that's incredibly important. I mean, I think as an assistant, it's your opportunity to make money. I mean, I think that's the best way, only way to really make money. And it's your opportunity to play on something, find out what your program is, find out what you like, try out what you've been learning all day as you've been watching, Kaci or Craig or whoever. And figure it out. And it's for me it was an opportunity to get in the show pen at a aged event level, because I'd shown in the Northeast it's world titles and that kind of thing, and that's what I'd done. so I hadn't done a whole lot of the aged events when I came to Kaci. So I had bought and sold, I think 3 at the time, and I bought Josie. She was in the pasture at Brent Lowski's, and I just like, she was one of those horses to me, like I walked out the pasture and it was like, there was like spotlight on her, and she was so pretty headed, and I asked him, and at the time I couldn't afford her, and I was like, okay, and so then I saw her like a month later on Facebook, and I asked them, and I'm like, they worked really well with me and got so I could buy her. So when I went to work for Craig, I had her as a 2-year-old, and I had a 3-year-old as well. So when we left Craig's, I had Josie was a 3-year-old, and I had another 2-year-old, which really, I mean, when we kind of, it took us about a year to figure out what we wanted to do as far as, were we really ready to start a business and everything, and that mare was really all I had.
Meaning you and Jack met at Craig's?
Yeah. So Jack was going
So y'all
back.
didn't spend much time working, is what you're saying. Y'all were supposed to be working.
We worked really hard. He didn't distract me at all. So Jack was going, it was crazy. Jack was going back and forth with his visa, and I, was riding a couple horses for different people, and, drawing and trying to get, money together, whatever. And so Josie was the only show horse I had, and I took her to the Buckeye. I knew she was good. I mean, she was always just she was really the first horse I had that had a really kind of special feel to her. I mean, you kind of showed her something, she'd turn, if you wanted her to turn inside out, she'd turn inside out. Then the next day you wanted her to turn like this, she'd turn like that. And she was just so pretty, and she just had such a good look to her. And so I'd had people try to buy her, but for me, that was my opportunity, and that was my chance to go show. So I didn't want to get rid of that. I showed her the Buckeye, she was good there, and we took her to the Congress, and I knew she could be good. And actually, we weren't going to go to the Congress up till she had after the Buckeye, I turned her out, which is like the kiss of death, I guess. And she had like a little tear, like what was starting to be a tear in a suspensory. And I asked, Dr. Pat looked at her and he said, I don't really think you're going to be able to go. So I hadn't rode her really since the Buckeye. And my dad actually came down and helped me drive to the Congress, and we stopped 4 times on the way to the Congress, go into the gas station, take a trash can, put it in the trailer, put ice in the trash can, fill it up with water, and ice her leg 4 times on the way up to the Congress. And I rode her, and she rode around really good. And yeah, I mean, it just kind of came together, and she just showed awesome there. And yeah, I had, especially after that first run, I had some people offer a lot of money for it, and I was probably really crazy for not taking it. But for me at the time, that was I was either gonna, if I took that money, I was gonna be horseless at the Futurity, and probably realistically the next year. And we were just starting a business, and I think it's really important to be seen, and to be seen on a good horse. And if you're seen on a good horse, people will think about sending you a good horse. But to me, if you're just sitting in the stands and walking around, they're not really gonna send you horses. So, it was tough to turn that money down, especially we needed it. And a lot of people I think would have, and I was agonizing over it, and I was like, you know what, like I just can't, not like I thought she was gonna win the Futurity, but I thought she was good.
Right. Well, and a lot of money, that was not that long ago.
Yeah.
And a lot of money then
Yeah.
is not the same as a lot of money now.
Yeah.
You'd be mad at yourself today for taking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Oh, for
and
sure.
we've talked about it endless times. I mean, that mare's done really well. I think throughout our career, I think we're gonna have even better horses, but the money she has made us in terms of, I know for a fact 2 or 3 of our best clients solely sent us horses because they saw me show her at the Congress. And I think if I hadn't had her, I wouldn't have had a horse to make the NRBC finals on the next year. I know we wouldn't have it would have taken us a lot longer to have a business. And I think she's just opened all those doors for us. And I think sometimes you have to believe in yourself enough and take risks on yourself.
Yeah.
I don't think you can always, it kind of frustrates me sometimes some people they just want everything to come to them, and they expect other people to give them the opportunities. And I think sometimes you have to go after them on your own. You can't wait around for somebody else to do that for you. So.
And now you have the factory.
Yeah, now I have the factory, and her babies. Everyone thinks their babies are good. Everyone thinks they're going to be good, but they look really good. Cade actually has a 2-year-old, and he just had a filly, and so I'm excited for him to get into some good programs. And our goal is just to try to get him, into the best programs we can. And Gunny had one, and he was kind of
Made
the first.
sure I got in a good program.
Gunny was kind of the first person to really believe in it. When you called me and asked me to, if we priced an embryo, I was kind of like, you want one? Like, you really want one? And yeah. So it was really exciting, and now it's in Cade's program.
It was exciting for me for you to say yes.
Yeah. So, and they're cool. I like them.
I bought an embryo from her.
Ding, ding.
Yeah.
Now it's all coming together. So the buckskin horse at Cade's right.
The bay
colt.
Yeah, the bay colt. He's a 2-year-old.
2-year-old.
It's like a babe buckskin
It's
base, kind of close.
it's got a black mane and tail.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
The
that's
the buckskin we bought. Me and
Yeah.
Alan bought.
Okay.
The bay
I would
colt.
love it to be the buckskin, but it's bay.
Gotcha. Well, the bay colt's nice too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew there was 2, and I just
Yeah.
got them mixed up.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So, that was fun, and
Well, she's going to produce. I mean, she's great-minded.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that's one of the biggest things about a producing mare is being good-minded. Even if I think some of those great brood mares have had a little bit of a motor. Yours
Yeah.
doesn't. She's
Yeah.
real quiet. Everything I've seen,
Yeah.
she looks really quiet. But
she's pretty feely, but I think she's one of those horses, like I've talked to Gunny before about it. We say every year, I'm like, God, I wish I could have her over again. She was kind of that horse. She was such a good horse. I know I made mistakes on her. I know I wish we could have her over again to, I think if I had her now, I'd do a much better job on her, and I'm sure I'd say that again in another 5 years,
Everybody says
but,
that.
But I like having the mares. That's been one of I actually learned that from Kaci Deary a lot. He always kind of talked about investing in the mares. You've done it a ton and had such success with it, and I think, you have a good mare, people are now starting to see how valuable it is. My other, Stella, the Starstruck Gunner mare, her babies are just hitting the ground, and again, everybody thinks their babies look good, but
those are 2 great mares.
Yeah.
And obviously bringing up Kaci Deary.
yep.
He's made a career.
Yeah.
He changed
Out
his
of those
career
mares.
on one mare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
His career changed.
And set
He'll
himself
tell you.
up for
Yeah.
and I remember him, the one thing that always impressed me about Kaci was, even when I was working for him, he was thinking 5 years ahead of his horsepower. He wasn't just thinking about how can I get
He
good
got
3-year-old.
lucky. He's not smart enough to
Yeah.
think 5 years ahead.
No, probably not. No, but he always has been very focused at getting good horsepower and getting mounted, and I think we're attempting to do that. I think it's a long road, but
Yeah. Casey's made a lot of good decisions. He acts dumb, but he's really one of the smarter guys in the industry about
Yeah,
the decisions
absolutely.
he's made and the things he's done. And yeah, he's a very, very bright guy.
yeah, for sure.
Now you talked about your art. How'd you get into doing that?
Yeah, well, my famous story about my drawing is my lowest grade in high school was in drawing class, but no, I've always liked it. I've always just kind of done it, and I think it's one of those things that kind of just came, I guess I just do it, and I do like drawing and doing portrait pencil work and stuff, and I'm trying to be as realistic as I can, and
But just all self-taught.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so it really helped me,
You're hurting Joe's feelings right now. He's taking drawing classes.
Yeah, it didn't work out
It's
for
tough.
me, but for you, I'm sure it will.
Okay. Of course it will. Of course it will. Like an online thing.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's where you've been.
Yeah. I've been at home just drawing straight lines.
Yeah.
Doing that for
That's
hours.
crazy. There's where you do
Yeah.
trace your hand and then make a turkey.
Yeah, that's
we-
lesson 3.
Yeah, I remember that.
I did that at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, right. I thought so.
I took engraving classes. We're class takers. Me and
See,
Joe.
Yeah,
but you're
exactly.
pretty darn. I mean, you're pretty darn handy on that
Well,
stuff.
it's not
But it's
that
the
you're
same
not.
thing.
It's
It's
not
the
that
same
you're
thing.
not.
No,
okay?
I'm not.
Yeah.
Not trying
Joe's
to
getting
diminish
really
you at
handy.
all.
You just
but-
haven't seen his work.
Right. Yeah.
But you will.
Yeah. I'm sure.
You will.
So you probably, I'm guessing, with the success you've had lately, you probably have less time to draw than
Yeah,
you used
I
to.
haven't even done it in like a year, at least year and a half probably, and it kind of saved me when we, when we left Craig's or whatever, and we had that kind of year period where we were trying to figure everything out. I mean, that's what I did. My main income was drawing, but and people really wanted me to do them. I mean, I had a lot of like business, but I honestly got a little frustrated because I think people started really thinking of me as like an artist, and I like drawing, I enjoy it, but I wanted people to think of me as a horse trainer,
Right.
not an artist, and everyone was kind of like, oh, this is what she's gonna do, and I was kind of like, wait, hold on, like, I like it and it's good and stuff, but I think I almost,
I never thought you were going to do
yeah,
that.
well,
I always thought you were going to be a horse trainer.
yeah, well.
So how many hours is one of yours?
Oh man,
Pieces
I mean,
take?
I used to put like 60 hours into one of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
you draw like each individual hair. I mean, I like the realistic stuff. I have a hard time with like I admire it, but I have a really hard time with the like, what do you call the abstract kind of
Abstract.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool, but I mean, I don't know if my OCD just won't let
No,
me.
dude, it takes a while. I painted
60 hours?
I painted an apple the other day. It took 8 hours over like 2 weeks on my iPad.
With an apple.
It was an apple. It looks real. They did the tutorial. I mean, they show you how to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
But dude, it's one of those you do it for a few minutes and screw this
Yeah.
thing, and then you got to throw the thing away and then come back.
I don't know you at all.
I showed Gunny. He thought it was cool.
It is
And
cool.
you didn't show me?
No, because you wouldn't have cared.
He
You would have
thought you
made
were
fun of me.
judgmental. He thought you were gonna be judgmental.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, Gunny would have been like, "Oh, cool."
I'm into
I
fashion
would.
now too.
Yeah.
I make clothes at night.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. No, I would have been judgmental.
Yeah, you
I am
totally would have said
judgmental,
it
actually,
was
yeah.
dumb. Yeah, so that's why I didn't show you. Anyway,
60 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've seen her stuff though, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
have.
Yeah.
Jack knew like to stay far away from me. 'Cause, like
Yeah,
if
I
I
can
get
see it.
like, if anyone thinks I get frustrated and perfectionist riding, like you don't want to talk to me when I'm drawing. Like it's intense.
But I've seen those guys in the subway do it in like 12 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just
They're good.
just
They're
better.
real good.
Have you
She's
seen the
just
TikTok guy?
good
There's a TikTok guy that rides this subway in,
Oh, and
New,
he takes
in New
he
York.
draws portraits of
And
people.
he will draw a portrait of somebody like that. He'll just walk up to him and
And
say,
give it to him?
"Excuse me, I drew you."
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
all.
that's
That's what he
amazing.
says, and he's freaking amazing.
No,
at
and
it.
it'll be some like crazy looking tattooed guy and all that.
Yeah.
You know, looks all hard, and he hands
Yeah.
it to him, and yeah, people get all happy and stuff.
Well,
Yeah,
I
it's
forget
pretty
his
cool.
name, but he's on TikTok.
just
and
spreading
YouTube.
happiness.
Yeah.
See, Joe's gonna start doing that.
That's
at
what I'm
horse
doing.
shows.
That's what
if you
we'll
come,
try to do.
if you come
Some
out
of
after
them,
a
he
bad
put a
run, you
sticker
can
on
just
that
give
said, "I
them.
love you."
I can
Give
I can
them
already
a
have a
nice.
photo.
He's
Yeah,
just
just
trying to
say,
make
look,
people's day.
I'm sorry you had a bad run, but here you go.
This is
Like-
what it looked like when your horse hit its front end.
Right.
Yeah.
Look,
Or-
look at how high your butt
Or
was
you
on the
could just
saddle.
show him a picture of your apple.
Yeah.
And say,
Dude, this took me 8 hours.
I drew this for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had a bad day today, but I drew this
Yeah,
for
but
you.
check
Yeah.
out
You
this
could make
apple.
the apple kind of shape of a heart,
Yeah.
and there's
Oh,
Huh?
Yeah.
nice.
Is that what you want?
no, no, not at all.
Yeah, 60 hours. That's crazy. That's cool.
But you could make a living doing that.
I mean, it was. I mean, yeah. I think if I would have wanted to, yeah. I could. No, probably not.
Yeah.
I didn't want to. I think if you're probably really, really good, you probably could. But
Yeah, you'd have to sell that drawing for $5,000
yeah,
a pop.
no.
Yeah, but why not? Why couldn't you? Because
Because
if you
you
look, a
don't-
lot of the
You
horse,
gotta die to do that.
If you're really good, I mean, they'll sell.
Well,
a lot of the equine artists are just almost there,
Yeah,
and
not quite.
it's like, oh, you got the latigo wrong, or you got the thing's eye
I
wrong.
hated drawing people.
Don Bell drew
Yeah,
some
Yeah.
Don
incredible
Bell's awesome.
stuff, but
awesome.
you didn't buy his original when you went in his booth. You bought a print of it, a
Yeah.
perfectly awesome, beautiful framed print, and it was still what you were probably charging,
Yeah.
or less than what you were charging for your originals.
Yeah.
So
probably not.
Give them the confidence to do
Well, it's like
that.
he said, if someone in theory could. In theory, yes. Could
Deary,
I? No.
yes. I think she could.
Yeah.
All I
I'm
ever,
behind you. I'm
yeah, all
behind
I ever hear of is starving artists. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Shit,
I mean, it's-
Banksy.
you. Yeah, dude.
Nobody
yeah, what
knows
about
who Banksy is.
I
He
do.
makes millions of dollars
no,
with a
but-
spray can.
I
Yeah.
know, but that's what you said before, abstract.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've even heard of that guy.
Graffiti.
Yeah,
Graffiti artists.
no doubt. So, what do you got coming up? Yeah, well, we already talked about
Yeah.
We're
that.
going to Tulsa. You going to Tulsa? She's going to the NRBC.
Yeah, we're going to Tulsa. We're going to NRBC. We just kind of balancing all that with the, we tried to make our show schedule this year reasonable that we can not miss the 2-year-olds and not miss the, the horses at home. And I think, last year we did pretty good. And actually, because we, Jack mostly rides them, pretty much all the 2-year-olds and stuff. And, the breaks last year really didn't hurt them at all. I actually thought most of the time we'd come back from a show and they'd honestly ride better. But anyway, this year I think we're just going to try to, we're going to maybe skip Vegas, I think, because we're going to go to Tulsa and then we're going to try it for Congress again this year. So.
Well, the hard part now, it's just that. The hard part now is we're gone so much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
And I think you could go, you could literally be on the road all the time
All the
if you
time,
had that string. And I think that's, gosh, if you can do that, that's awesome. But at the same time, I think you need to make sure you're not, neglecting
Horses at
the
home.
horses at home and the ones that are coming up. And,
Shoot.
we really enjoy the 2-year-old part of it. So,
Jared Leclerc had a crew. He was in Florida. He had a crew in Waco
Yeah.
at the same time. Like he's got
Yeah.
crews at different horse shows a
Yeah,
couple
we've-
times a year.
Yeah.
We've done that before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Send Debbie and a crew to Waco or one of those shows, and we've been somewhere else.
yeah. And there's so much money now, you kind of have to pick where you want to go and
Yeah.
who you want to show where. And
And you really got to look like last year for the first time, because I got surprised a couple of times the year before where you just assume.
yeah.
And then you go there and show and you get your paycheck and
Yeah.
you're like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So you really do have to compare and go, okay, well, this makes sense. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna try to go to we're already thinking about fraternities, I guess, but I think we're gonna try to go to Florida to the All-Star
Yep.
deal, and then Tulsa, and then Congress. We haven't been to Congress the last couple. I haven't been to Congress actually since I showed Josie there, but I think if you have strong horses, there's a lot of money to be had there. So we're gonna give it a go again. I think.
In Congress, I know there's a lot of people that don't like the Congress, but I went to the Congress every year for a lot of years, and then we skipped for probably 10 years and went back.
Yeah.
There's just a feel for somebody like me that was there when it was BH and all. I mean, it had so much. There was so much about the Congress, and there's so much history, and being a kid running around at the Congress, and I mean, there's just something that it's fun to go because there's just so much history there. I love that we're there by ourselves as reiners, but I miss for everybody that they can't be there because it was fun during
Not
the
being like a
during the
spectator
pleasure horse
event.
stuff was also fun.
Right.
When you walk through the Gilligan barn, it used to be just. I mean, it is amazing.
Yeah.
But we're gone before any of that stuff starts, and it was that every part of the Congress. What I like about it now for us better is they changed out the cutting with the ranch riding.
Yeah.
And the ranch I mean, now Congress Hall. The whole time we're there, Congress Hall is packed.
Yeah.
Where the last couple of years, there's been a few cutters and us, and it's kind of been a ghost town. Now, I mean, things are hopping again, and that place the stands are packed for the finals, and it's fun. I don't really wish that all that stuff was going on, because then it'd be too
too hectic,
crowded
but
and
it's
too
fun
hectic.
to watch.
But it sure was fun for us to, on a little bit of off time, to go in and watch this class and that class and some of the, because I have a lot of respect for a lot of the pleasure horse guys and Western riders and all the guys that do that stuff. So it was always fun to watch that, but I just can't. the history of that place. I like going. I really
Yeah.
do.
It's definitely fun especially if you do well, like, you know, the jacket and everything.
Yeah.
I remember always wanting, I showed there twice, 2-3 times when I was in the youth, and I always wanted that jacket. And I finally got the champion jacket when I showed Josie there, but man, I had some rough years there before that. I showed the gray gelding I got from Scott there, my first trip to Congress, and it was such a big deal. And he goes into the Celeste, and he was just spooking at everything. It was terrible. I don't remember what I marked. And I come out, and he was a tall gelding, and I was little. And I come out, and I'm trying to drop the bit for the judge, and the judge is like, "Oh, do you want me to get that for you? Like, you can't really get it." I'm like, "Sure." So he goes to put the bit in, and it hits that horse in the mouth, and he goes like this, takes off, and knocks the fence down, just runs around. They had to stop the whole show. And I'm just standing there like this. My dad and Dan, my trainer, they're coming out of the stands, coming to go catch this horse, and I was just like, and I remember my dad saying, "Well, you'll never forget your first trip to the Congress." And I was like, nope.
Who was your trainer at that point?
Dan Sanborn.
Okay.
He's in New Hampshire. So no, he was really good. I mean, they kind of just took me under their wing and hauled me everywhere with them, and let me kind of half work.
Yeah,
for 'em a little
when you
bit.
talk about spooking, there's not a spooky arena anywhere in the country than the Congress.
Yeah,
that
it was
fence is
a
weird.
lovely
And,
experience.
and it's
That's
small and it's odd shaped. There's really nothing that you should love
Yeah.
as far as showing horses about going to the Congress. It's just the Congress.
Except
it's
the cinnamon rolls and the
oh my gosh.
and the pizza,
Yeah.
the wood-fired pizza
Yeah.
is really good. I miss that. And the
Whenever,
chicken.
whenever I worked for you was like the first group of a few years that I went to I went to the Congress once as a kid, but after that, working for you, we kind of went every year. And there was a guy there that used to drag the pen at night. His name was Bob Dent, and he used to work the
Yeah, big
makeup
dude.
pen. Big Bob.
Big Bob.
That's right. Yeah.
He used to work the makeup pen at the Futurity too. He used to
Yep.
get us in the arena. Well,
That's right.
I met him there. It's late at night. We're working midnight, and he's dragging the pen all night. He's working. I said, "Bob, I met him there. "Bob, we got a coffee machine at the stalls there. You tired? You want me to bring you a coffee?" "Oh man, that'd be great." So the 1 year I got to where I'd bring him a coffee every night. And funny story about it is when after that, I got to know him, but we'd go to the Futurity after that. And the first go of the Futurity, I'd walk in the pen, and that announcer would say, "Justin Matheson riding this, and this," and that announcer would say, walking out of the pen, "Thank you, Gunny Matheson," and say the score and all that. And as soon as I walked by that stand that Bob was sitting in, he goes, "I fixed him again for you, Gun. I fixed him." He'd always correct the announcer and made sure
right
they
on.
knew
Yeah.
what to call me. That's my story from the Congress.
Yeah.
He was a good guy.
He was a good guy. Yeah, no, and the other hard part about the Congress is right now, we move in, you get to ride them in there
Yeah.
one time, and then you horse show. I mean, it's tricky, and especially us going from Texas to there, it's really hard to get them there. And it's super normal to get them off the trailer with a little bit of a temp, and you're dealing with that stuff.
Weather
and,
change. And,
Yeah,
that time of
weather
year is
change.
funny.
And it's a little. I've even thought of it about this year.
It's not
What we're
that hard.
gonna
I made the
do
finals every year I went.
this year. I mean,
Top
because
five.
you almost need to leave like the legacy sale. Of course, I mark it in my calendar every year. It's a big deal for me. And the legacy sale is about the day that we need to be leaving.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys probably send a trailer up there. So I may break the mold and do that this year because I really don't want to miss that.
Yeah, you can send them with us.
Yeah, I probably actually am going to do that because if I miss the sale, I'll be not a happy camper.
Yeah, we won't like it either.
Yeah.
On behalf of the legacy sale, we won't like it either.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite horse show?
I don't know. Gosh, I need to think about that. I've always tended, I love the NRBC. The Derby has been really challenging for me, so I'm just not even gonna say that.
Nobody says they like the Derby.
No, but I've always seemed to do better in the fall, and I'm really hoping to change that
I wouldn't change that.
No, I just think
I'd always do good in the fall.
Well,
I'd only
I would
want to
like
do good in
break
the fall,
curse
not in
a
the
little bit.
springtime.
I feel like
you
I
don't
have
want to break the curse.
I have a springtime curse.
You
and I
want to
feel-
get better in the fall. You don't want to break that curse.
Yeah.
You want that 350.
Yeah. I feel. Well, I mean, gosh.
They don't give 350 away in the springtime.
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, I do. You have to say the Futurity just because I like everything that happens there. I mean, it's. I mean, I probably lose half my hair during that week, but I mean, the sale and everything that's going on. But I mean, as far as enjoyable, I mean, I do like Tulsa. I mean, I like it. I mean, we go there and it's good ground and it's just, you know, a lot happening. I like it because we're starting to see all those Futurity horses, you know, and I'm kind of a geek like that, and I try to like look at, you know, everything and how it's bred and where it came from and all this stuff. And so it's really kind of one of the first big outings where we're seeing all those 3-year-olds, and a lot of people bring their 3-year-olds there just to ride too. So, you know.
Me too. I get it.
Yeah.
Because I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the sport.
Yeah.
So it's fun. For me, I always get excited going to that first one.
Yeah.
Like for us, it'll be Ocala.
Yeah.
And I get excited about that. It's a nice place to show.
Yeah.
You're showing your horses for the first time. There's always the pressure you put on yourself to
Yeah.
be very, very good. But it's not the most pressure because
Right.
it's
the
just the
time.
first step.
Yeah, it is. And I think, I mean, those are probably my favorite. Like midsummers, like I feel the best. I think as the fall goes on, you know, when you get to the Futurity, you're just, I mean, a little drained, a little stressed, and I think everybody is and stuff. But
Yeah.
I love the 3-year-olds. I love the Futurity horses. The Derbies are good and they're fun. I feel like I have a half curse with them, but I mean, it's just so new and it's fresh, and
Right.
you're not like, you know, you don't have any, you know, preconceived notions about how that horse is going to be. You're just like, it's all hope at that point, you know. So that's what it's nice. I love the whole process, really. I mean, we love the 2-year-olds. My favorite year is probably the 3-year-old year. Jack loves the 2-year-olds. I mean, just everything's new and fresh and exciting, and it's all, you know, hopes and dreams that before they get crushed, you know.
Different reason. I get more nervous showing them the first time because if I like one, I'm like, please walk
don't.
in there and be good.
Please.
Yeah, don't be lying to me all year.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I'm loving you, and then you walk in there, and then I walk out scratching my head thinking, now what? You
And
know?
that happens. I mean,
Oh,
we've
yeah.
talked about it so much, like especially with the 2-year-olds, because you know, we used to get, you know, you get so excited you start a 2-year-old and it looks real good the first 90 days, and you're like, this is the one, and you really just don't know. I mean, you just don't. I mean, some of them that start, the more I've seen, you know, some of them that start great, they may not have the guts when it comes to the end. Some that start kind of tough, you know, when you do go to show them, you know, by that time. I mean, the Pretty Little Dreamer mare, I love her. I mean, she is so gritty, and she was a little tough for a little while, and I did not think she was going to show like she did. And we walked in there, and she just I mean, she always tries.
Yeah.
And so I think you have to keep an open mind. And that's one of the hardest deals I think on the 2-year-olds is what do you call, like, because it's tough, and deciding, are they going to get through every 2-year-old, they go through a tough stage or a hard stage, everyone. And, you know, you just have to think, okay, are they going to get through this, or is this what they are, and we need to kind of get rid of them now to stop, you know, so our customers aren't spending a lot of money. And I think that's a challenge, you know.
Yeah. I love it when they're interviewing somebody after they had a run on a horse and it was good. I started this horse as a 2-year-old. He never had a bad day.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
They
did.
all do at some point.
Yeah.
At some point, yeah. Jack's saying,
Tyra never had a bad day.
Jack's saying Slick never had a bad day. I remember one day in May. I always tell him he had one day in May of his 2-year-old year. It was pretty bad, and I remember it. And I think he had one day. He had a couple days right around legacy sale time as a 3-year-old, and he didn't really want any part of that anymore. But not very often.
Yeah, that's the fun. And the thing is, you don't need, especially for the Futurity game,
Oh yeah.
you don't need a superstar. You
Yeah.
just need one that wants to play.
Yeah.
They just need to be able to do the maneuvers and have the
And want to be on
desire
your team.
to go in and be on your team. Exactly.
Yeah, I definitely, and I think there's a difference as I'm learning, you know, between the Futurities and the Derbies. And the Futurities, you can go in, and if you're clean and you're consistent and you just half, you're going to win a lot of money and do really well. And if they're I think if they're pretty broke, you know, by the time the Derbies come around, I think everybody's caught up at that point. And, you know, they've got to be broke, but they've also got to be really good too. And so that's, you know, that's
and the Derbies aren't just, the 3-year-olds is just their own division. When you get to the Derbies, then you're showing against 4 years of horses.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's compounded better horses. And
yeah. Do you feel like preparing a horse for the Derby, like, you know, going through the whole week and the finals is different than preparing one for the Futurity, or do you kind of feel like it's the same?
yeah, I think so. Because I think by the time you get to the Derby, you are not, your horse is better trained at that point, hopefully.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm trying to keep them fresher and not have them just wore out by the time. And the Derby can be hot.
Yeah.
And so to me, I'm managing a lot of other things.
Yeah.
At the Futurity, whether you know you should be or you shouldn't be at the Futurity, there's a lot of times I'm still trying to
Oh yeah.
Avoid disaster.
piece
You're
things
making
together.
sure you can get through a pattern without a penalty.
Yeah. And
The maneuvers are most likely there. You're just making sure you have no train wreck.
Right.
And you know, the amazing thing about the 3-year-old year too is you see 3-year-olds this time of year, and you see some that are just doing spectacular things and they look amazing. And it always, like, I've looked back on it because I've really tried to learn every year, you know, what to do better. And you see some, you know, just look okay. They don't look great, and they're not doing anything special. And then come about the Futurity time, all of a sudden they're really good. And maybe the one that was turning a +1 now, it's gone by that point. And, you know, no matter what, I feel like you kind of think sometimes, or I even used to think, you know, you have one turning really good right now, and you think, that's in the bag, I've got it. You know, imagine how good it's going to be by the Futurity.
Yeah.
And you just have all that time for it to go south.
Yeah.
And I think half the game is not letting it go south, even though I think it usually does. As some things are going to,
Yeah, no doubt. You're right.
fall out of place, and it's just it's challenging. It's different with every horse. Every horse is going to be different. The environment's got to be right. I just think it's so
Well,
And-
green horses can catch up. There's so many smart horse trainers now that it doesn't have to be super broke at the end of its 2-year-old year. It doesn't have to ride like it's a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
It needs to have a wonderful foundation that's confident, and
And
It
they don't
doesn't have to
understand. They don't understand in February, March.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to be ready by August.
yeah.
Every day you get them out, it's just another day for them.
Yeah.
It's just a day they're going to go out to that arena and go work. They don't see the end game.
Yeah.
For them, that might be their life. In their mind, that's what it is. And I think that's the trick on a young horse is being able to keep them motivated to continue to learn and not just continue the same thing every day where, you know, after a while, just like we would, you'd go,
get a
I'm
little
done with
complacent.
this.
Get a little
Yeah.
stale.
I think one thing, like you brought up, I wish we could get it figured out in our sport a little bit better, is the 2-year-olds and thinking like what they have to be at the end of their 2-year-old year. Because for me, even the more you do this, they don't have to be doing all that much as a 2-year-old. They just have to be confident, and they have to take training, and they have to be okay to take direction. And I think a troubling thing for me, even selling 2-year-olds, that's been a big challenge for us, is, you know, someone wants to come try a 2-year-old for a lot of money. They want it to be doing some pretty spectacular stuff if they're going to spend that money. But if you're going to show that horse next year, do you really want it to be doing that much as a 2-year-old? I mean, I don't. If it's my...
nobody believes you
No.
when you tell them how nice you think this horse is.
No.
They have to get on it, pull it, and kick it.
And it's got to go stop
They
at
have
one.
to stop it faster and turn it faster than you would,
Yeah.
and you have to go through it all in order to sell it.
Yeah,
I've had
run it
people-
9-0 around
No.
the circles.
I've had
Yeah.
people go through in June. We took a 2-year-old up to the Derby, really nice horse. I had him get on and try to change leads one-handed through the middle, run circles, go run down and stop just off of whoa. And I was like, you know, does he really need to know that yet? You know, it's just, I wish we could, and I don't know the answer. I don't know any way around it because, if
Well,
you're-
the answer is some buyers you get are very educated, and some buyers you get are uneducated.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I had Craig Schmersal, for
Yeah.
one, come last fall and try a horse that we had.
Yep.
and the horse looked great on video, and he rode him, and he turned him around, and after 3 minutes of turning him, he trained on him a little bit, but after 3 minutes he said, I don't think this one's going to work for me.
Yeah.
I need one that can really do this, this, and this. He said, he's a really nice horse, but it's not what I'm looking for. But I've also had people come and try horses, and they ride them for 45 minutes, and they train them and put their deal on them, and
then say no.
And I sit there and be quiet, and and they say no, and like, I don't. What are you looking for? Are you looking for this thing to retain what you trained it, and then you're gonna buy it, or what? But and Sean Flair has come out. The King has come out. He's rode one for 2.5 minutes and said nope. He's rode one for 2.5 minutes and said yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
and we've had the same. I just think it's hard when somebody comes and they're expecting that 2-year-old to do a lot more than they're expecting their 2-year-olds to be doing, and it's hard having one that you're gonna sell. We have some 2-year-olds even right now that we have in our mind we're gonna try to sell at the end of the year just because they're to make money on. And do you train those differently than the ones that you're planning on keeping? Because the ones I'm gonna keep, they don't need to be doing all that stuff. They just need to be confident, sound. They need to take the training, not be resistant, and step around and do all that stuff. But it's just a little, anyway, it's just something.
I don't think you train them any differently. I think if you train them differently, you're gonna get away with it once if it works.
Yeah.
If it's trained to run and stop faster and harder, you're gonna get away with it a time or two. But if it don't work in the show pen, you're not gonna get away with it anymore.
No.
You gotta bring a product there that somebody's gonna do well on and go, man, that was easy. They're gonna buy it again. So
I agree with you totally. I mean, I think that's.
Yeah. At the end of the day, if you continually put out a product that's quality, you're always going to get the right people back to buy the next round. And back to what you guys were saying, you guys have been around. I ride one. If I ride one for, I can't remember trying one and ever riding it for more than 15 minutes.
I think I mean, you have a feel, and you're like, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you either think, okay, I think this horse is going to fit me, and I think it doesn't have to. When you try a horse, it does not have to be perfect right then. You just have to think, is this something I can work with that's going to fit me? Does it make sense for the money or whatever like that? So I wish more people would come and try a horse that way. That would be.
But it takes a lot of confidence to do that.
Yeah, especially for a lot of money.
You have to be okay sinking or swimming with your decision.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, so many buyers are afraid of it going bad.
Yeah.
I'm a optimistic buyer. If I see one that I like and it feels good and it doesn't vet perfect, but the vet says, listen, it's not perfect, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna find a reason to say yes. I'm not gonna find 90 reasons to say no and then blame you for trying to sell me a bad one. But you do see that too. You see people that shop for horses that are shopping for the perfect one, but they're not really trying to buy one because they find the perfect one, has a little something wrong with it, has a swirl in the wrong place, we're out.
Yep. We had that happen.
Me too.
Plenty of times.
Yeah.
One of my best 3-year-olds this year, I actually sold him in the barn and got to keep him, but every time someone would try him this fall, I was like, why am I selling this one? This is probably my good one. And he sticks his tongue out sometimes when you ride him. And he's done it since you rode him in Hackmore. He doesn't do anything wrong, but he just sticks his tongue out sometimes. And they try him, perfect. Go through, yep, we'll vet him, okay, cool. And then call the next morning, so, that tongue, I just don't, he sticks his tongue out sometimes. I noticed that, and I was like, all right, well, that's fair enough. I don't really, if he runs and stops at one and he's with his tongue out, I guess it's okay, but it's, and to each their own, and they probably have their owners that they need to, do that with, but.
Hey, I'll put it in hindsight for you real quick. I had several people, top of the game, and several people I couldn't remember their name. They were not at the top of the game. I had several people tell me Super Mario wasn't good enough as a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, and he won the Futurity.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And riding him around, he's got probably as good a feel as any horse I've ever sat on in my life.
Yeah.
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 And the look too. I remember hearing about him in like NRBC time as a 3-year-old, and you know, this horse is special. I remember seeing a couple videos of him, and
Yeah, top of the business.
Yeah.
Top of the business missed him.
Top of the business, but
Yeah.
some of the bottom of the business too. Some of the people
Well, that you expect.
yeah, but
That you expect.
okay. The only part that I don't expect is somebody that comes and try them that I never heard of, that has a customer to spend this amount of
Yeah.
money, and I show them 3 horses. They don't pick it. None of them are good enough for them, and one wins the Futurity. Sean Flair buys the other one, and it wins 50 grand.
Yeah.
And the other one is the mare that I've won $93,000 on, and I couldn't get anybody.
yeah,
You know, it's a funny game we
it
play.
is a very funny game.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
all 3 horses were successful, but I had more than one person tell me, no, this ain't for me. No, this ain't good enough. No.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. No, I watched, and I didn't ride him when Cade tried him, but Mandy and I were there and watched him for 20 minutes, and we weren't sure if Cade's customer was going to fire on him or not. And I told Mandy, that horse is not leaving here.
Yeah.
If we have to buy him for Cade, then that's what we'll
Yeah.
do. But he's
You
not
didn't
leaving.
have to.
Here.
I wish y'all would have freaking told me that. You didn't have to. You just sort of said, "God, hey, we're gonna keep him." It's fine. I wish you had just said that. You know.
and you would have still owned him now,
No, I'd been richer though.
right?
I'd have a freaking trophy.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'd have a couple trophies. We won the 2, 3, and 4.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe a trailer. You think Cade would have gave me the trailer, or would he have kept that?
You did it.
You could have
Yeah, I could have
shared
the trailer.
custody.
We could have borrowed the trailer. We could have shared it.
That's not true. You showed up with your trailer to pick him up, remember?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to keep him. I kind of wanted him back.
Yeah.
He was supposed to show him to me and see him. I'll just take him now. He trotted him around for 5 minutes, loped 2 minutes each way, changed one lead, and had somebody lead him to their back barn. I'm like, that's all I get? I mean, fuck, I wanted to see you ride him. Nope.
No, that was it. We knew he was staying there.
It worked out pretty good.
All right. Well, Casey, thank you.
Yeah, thank
no,
you.
we're done. No, that's
Thank
it. It
you
was
guys.
painless, isn't it? It's not like pulling teeth out at all.
Yeah, no, it wasn't too bad.
So one more quick question. So Pond Hill comes from your dad's place.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with Jack Daniels. Like,
No, it's from Pond Hill Ranch, where there is a pond and it is on a hill, and
there's a pond on a
You
hill.
wouldn't think
It
a
is.
pond would be on a hill.
no, it is. It's a
That's got to be the only ranch in America that
It's
has
a-
a pond on a hill.
it's a big mountain. There's a hill. There's a pond on it, and that's
That's Pond Hill
there
Ranch.
you go,
It
Pond
makes
Hill
sense.
Ranch.
Nice. Now
Makes
you know.
sense.
Now you know.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Drink Jack Daniels.
Next time, grow the
See you
show.
later.